Hi everyone. I wanted to make a resource to send out a little bit earlier this week. And instead of showing you me, I'm going to show you my screen because I wanted to go over some things that were on the screen. I realized that last week I started talking about Pigden in the video, and you guys had just been doing Schultz, and Pigden was for last week. I just thought that that might be a helpful way of introducing some of his ideas if you hadn't looked at it yet, or explaining them even if you had. So what I'm going to do today is two things, and I'll try to be brief. Talk a little bit about the Levy that you're reading for this week. Levy is a little bit longer. The vocabulary is a little bit more complicated. If you're having any trouble when you're reading, just go to the Levy presentation, the Google Slides presentation that you have access to from D2L, and click your way through it because it's actually my presentation and everything that he's saying is explained clearly in there. So if you're having any trouble, go to that, then go back to the reading. And I usually add to this every semester when I do a face-to-face class and I do this topic. So it's pretty updated. Anyway, so as you're reading Levy for this week, a little bit longer. It seems a little bit more complicated. The easy thing to think is, oh, Pigden is for conspiracy theories and Levy is against conspiracy theories. And this is a mistake that students often make when they get to the analytic essay, which is the assignment that you have due next week, your first kind of bigger assignment for the class. So I'll come back to that. But Pigden is not for conspiracy theories and Levy isn't against them. As I talked about last week, these are both professional philosophers, academics who are interested in epistemology, or the study of knowledge, and they're basically interested in analyzing what they call truth-seeking strategies. So what strategies are the most likely to help you end up at the truth? So Pigden doesn't think that we should dismiss conspiracy theories out of hand, say, well, they never lead you to the truth. He thinks that's a silly strategy, and he uses the historical and political examples to try to prove his point. Not to say that he believes that they're true, but that if there's sufficient evidence that we should look into them, and that it's not good to dismiss them. So he's not saying, yay, conspiracy theories, but he's saying more, don't say, oh, conspiracy theories are stupid, right out of the gate or something like that. Levy isn't saying conspiracy theories are never true. Again, I have the conclusion of his article up here on my screen. You can see where it starts with there are. So, Levy has a subtle point too. He's not saying that they're stupid or wrong. He is saying that to find the truth, it is probably best not to rely on conspiracy theories, but to rely on what he calls the properly constituted epistemic authorities. Now, students often think that this means people in power. This doesn't mean people in power, like the government is not a properly constituted epistemic authority. The government is a political administrative entity. What he means by this is basically something like, this is what my students and I decided the last time I did this face-to-face in 202, like the knowledge network. He means like the entire ideal network of scientists and thinkers and scholars. Is very academic, his definition. Like academics, people who are experts on issues, working together, thinking and talking, using the scientific method to come up with hypotheses and test them and see if they're right or wrong and try to arrive at the truth in that way. So he doesn't mean, authorities like the people in power authorities. He means like the knowledge working authorities. And as he says here at the end, and this is often, students often ignore this, he says sometimes, of course, the epistemic authorities will be wrong. So he doesn't say they're always right. He's talking about the process of how to get to the truth. But he thinks that believing in the official story, as he said here, is always rational, because he thinks that if you cut yourself off from this knowledge network, you're only going to know what you might say is like your truth and not other people's truths. And you're not going to be connected to other people who might have more resources than you, who might know more than you, who might be able to correct your judgment in error. So my stupid example for this is think about like watching a football game where you're so far away, or even a baseball game. Sometimes it's hard to see what's going on depending on where you're sitting, and you can watch the same thing on TV and you can realize that you really didn't know what was going on because you didn't have the right viewpoint. So again, that's stupid, but that's what he means by being cut off. Like there's a bigger picture that you're not being connected to if you're pursuing conspiracy theories as a strategy for getting to the truth. Now, I'm not telling you I agree or disagree. I agree and disagree with both of them in many ways, but I'm just trying to explain to you what he's trying to say. So they're both interested in strategies for getting to the truth because they're philosophers. They're not writing books on 9/11 or JFK. They're writing books on how to get to the truth. So if you didn't read the Levy or look at the Levy presentation yet, make sure you do that before you have your post. For this week, I wanted to give you that a little bit as like ahead of time as a warning. I also wanted to make sure I got you a video resource earlier in the week this week. So next week, meaning for the 27th, you have the Analytic Essay due. The Analytic Essay, as I said, it's like your first more traditional paper for the class. You can see all the details here. So I'm not going to read them to you because that would not be very exciting. But I will tell you a few things. So first of all, make sure you follow the formatting guidelines, which are here. Make sure that you follow the bullet points here. Make sure you use direct quotes from Pigden and Levy, at least 2 quotes from each to back up what you're saying. Okay, you can figure out the rest on your own. Now I'm going to give you my warning for this assignment because I've used this assignment many times in classes over the years. Don't just write like a Wikipedia article or a book report on Pigden and Levy. So show me you know what they're saying. So if you say Pigden thinks conspiracy theories are always true, I start thinking, this person hasn't looked at the resources or done the reading at all. Watch the slideshows. If you say Levy hates conspiracy theories, the same thing. I think, you haven't done the reading, you haven't watched the videos, you haven't looked at the slideshows. So you want to show that you have a good understanding of the readings. So the learning objective, as education people would call it, behind this assignment is to show that you have a good grasp of the material before you get to work on your own research project, to show that you can understand other people's ideas and how to use evidence and everything before you get to do your own work. So make sure you deal with Pigden and Levy, but also explain what you think a conspiracy theory is. So Pigden and Levy both talk about conspiracy theories in different ways. So one way that I often tell students to start writing this essay is to think about what is your definition of a conspiracy theory. Not one conspiracy theory in detail, like, here's Area 51, but like, what does a conspiracy theory mean to you? And this might be very different in 2019 with all the talk of conspiracy theories in the news and all the political stuff than it used to be. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say because it changes every time. But the main point of this is to work on developing your own critical and creative thinking skills. What is your point? Do you understand the author's point of view? Can you represent it? What is your point of view? What's your evidence for that? And connect this, as you've been doing in the weekly assignments, connect this to a conspiracy theory of your own, because that's eventually what you're going to be working on in the class for your research project. And, Dr. Holm will be back at this point too, but, it's what she is going to work on with you too. You are going to be looking at a conspiracy theory or a set of conspiracy theories and analyzing them. So the idea is early on to start practicing this. So what do Pigden and Levy have to say? What do you have to say? How do you define conspiracy theory? How does this apply to a conspiracy theory that interests you? Now, we'll have time to work on the conspiracy theories that interest you, why you want to pick them later on, and in response to this. And, I'll give you a lot of feedback based on what you say for that. Based on the posts on Pigden last week that I just looked through and put the grades in for yesterday, 9/11 was by far the most popular choice, followed by Sandy Hook school shootings, Denver Airport, the Illuminati. Those had a lot of votes. Couple for vaccines, a new Coke. Epstein, interesting because it was recent. Ancient aliens. Hitler lived. Flat Earth. Diana. Titanic. UFOs. The phantom time hypothesis, which I had not heard of before, and now I have to start Googling. Let's see what else. Israeli shark attacks. I hadn't heard of that either. A couple sports related ones, but the Patriots and the NBA draft, famous cold or frozen envelope theory, moon landing, black helicopters. Anyway, those were a lot of the ones that you guys mentioned. As I said, Sandy Hook and 9/11 looked like they were the most popular. So, choose one that interests you, that you're actually interested in yourself, because if this is what you end up working on for this semester, it's a long process actually getting to the research paper. So it should be something that you are actually interested in, and hopefully that'll make you more interested in this assignment as well. Okay, so the analytic essay is not for this week. It is for September 27th. I just wanted to give you a little heads up about it, tell you what it was about, and, give you a little reminder about what Levy is saying as well, which is due for this Friday. So hopefully getting that earlier will help you this week, since I'm more on top of things this week. Feel free to get in touch with me anytime with any questions or anything. And for the last 2 weeks, I've given you kind of, general, just marked off your posts and given you general feedback. When you do the analytic essay, you'll all get, a grade and individual feedback on your analytic essay. So don't worry about that. So anyway, be in touch with any questions, and I look forward to hearing from you guys this week about Levy and next week for the analytic essays. Okay, have a good one.